Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hard Cut Podcast, where we enjoy filmmaking, viewing, and discussing. I'm Tyler Edward, and I'm joined here today with Coleton, Pringle, and Noah Lippert. And we're discussing my favorite movie of 2024, Nosferatu. UMC. USMC. And for those of you watching, we're also joined with big ol' Count Orlok cutout in the background. He's looming over us, making sure we say nice things about him.
Lurking.
I forgot to mention this to you guys, but I like to just touch on what has happened in the last week regarding film, and I want to talk about Minecraft very quick because I don't think I'm gonna do a review on it. I don't think I'm gonna go in depth, so I want to talk about it for just like 5 minutes.
No hour-long podcast about the Minecraft movie.
No Minecraft movie podcast. I mean, I could, but
yeah.
What have you guys haven't seen it, right?
No,
Not yet.
Have you seen just all the random clips and everything and the memes?
Chicken jockey
With the chicken in the air and the
so funny.
Throne.
I saw it and it was if you've seen the trailer, you've basically seen the movie. It was like exactly what you would expect, and it's just Jack Black being Jack Black, which honestly he was like the best part of the movie.
That's what I've heard too. He sings in it or whatever.
He has like 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
He goes,
I didn't know that.
Chicken, lava, and he has a whole song about burning chickens. It's crazy.
I didn't hear any of that.
But I think I didn't like. It's so hard because it's like, they just kind of have to be in a big green screen room for the whole movie. But like that partially took me out is because I'm like, there were some points where you could very clearly tell the animation just wasn't syncing up with the live action.
I heard that it actually overall had very good production and CGI. Would you agree?
I would totally agree. There were just definitely points where I'm like, they had to be like holding something or whatever, like petting a dog or something, and it's like that physicality you can't recreate. Other than that, yeah, it was good in those regards. And I just enjoyed it's just a funny, silly movie with no real plot and no like depth, and sometimes you
Kids
just gotta
love it too.
shut your brain off and
I wonder how much like money it's gonna make in the box office in like the next month.
It's the highest grossing video game movie that has
really.
I'm pretty sure.
Like Mario?
Well, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I thought it passed the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Really?
I could be wrong, which is funny
That
because
did
Jack
really
Black
well.
is in both of them. He's got to be loaded off of these video game movies.
Probably.
But yeah, it was like fine. It wasn't like amazing by any means, but it was a good time, and it was fun for the memes aspect of it.
Oh dear. Okay, so this from Google
Yep.
official AI overview. The Minecraft movie has grossed 550 million globally. Opening weekend saw 163 million domestically and 150.7 million internationally, with a global total of 313.2 million. That's just the first weekend.
I was gonna say that's opening.
That's
weekend.
crazy.
Yeah, it's been out for what, 2 weeks now? 2 or 3 weeks.
Like
I think it opened on.
I
it opened on the 3rd. Actually, it's been out. Yeah, it's been out for like 2 weeks, or the 4th, 3rd or 4th. But
I could use 500 million.
But yeah, Warfare's coming up.
I'm really stoked about it.
I might see it Thursday actually,
Hmm.
depending. Alex and Abby might be going, so I might see it Thursday because I don't know. I need to see it though. I've been hearing amazing things about it, and it's got like a 96 or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's short. Hour and a half.
Have you guys heard about Sinners?
Yes.
I've seen previews.
I'm really stoked for that one because that's Ryan Coogler. He did Black Panther, and it's a vampire western. It looks so interesting. Right. It's shot on this is the only film this year to be filmed for IMAX. I think it's like shot on 70 millimeter film for IMAX, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Michael B. Jordan, I think, has a twin in it. That's what.
And I think
crazy.
he plays his twin or whatever. Like, it'll be.
That has to be
interesting.
crazy. I don't know. I mean, even just in normal editing, but if you're shooting on IMAX, to be able to like do the editing, and then somehow are you able to like turn it into digital and then put people back and forth and copy and duplicate?
Once it gets into the realm of like film going to the edit and going to digital, that shift, I don't get it. Going like physical to digital is crazy to me, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Nosferatu, however, we rewatched. Well, how many times have I seen this movie?
Yeah,
How
seriously.
many
I'm
hands
at,
do you need to
I
count
was gonna
that
say I'm at
reviews?
6. I'm either at 5 or 6 now. The first week it came out, I saw it 3 times in just the first week, and then I saw it a second time or a third or fourth time, whatever. But yeah, I think I've seen either. It's either 5 or 6 now. This movie for me was like very important. I've known about it for like 2 years before it was even released. When they sent out like the first photo, they sent out a set of like 3 photos, stills from the movie, and that was the first time that I was like, oh my god, this is real. But yeah, you guys know I love Mina, the story of Dracula. I made Mina, so I have a very deep connection to it that kind of goes back to my grandma. So when this movie came out, I was like, oh, and it's my favorite director, Robert Eggers.
Mhm.
So I've been excited about this. Is actually one of the reasons I started this podcast. Was I'm like, I need to just yap about Nosferatu for 2 hours, and it's gonna be a fun episode. But yeah, initial thoughts on Nosferatu, like just overview thoughts on the film.
Well, I think originally, we were trying to watch all the Eggers movies before we
Mhm.
saw this, and then you did Mina and everything.
Mm-hmm.
With the trailer coming out too, we're like, okay, obviously it's going to be historically accurate, which is
Yep.
huge because Eggers is a historian, and that's what I
Mhm.
think is like the biggest part of all of his films is it's going to be down to the T. We were just watching that documentary or whatever, and like every single little detail is incredibly just important for his films, which is cool. So that's something that I always just appreciated. And then it was spooky.
It was
It was
very
so spooky.
spooky, dude. It was so fun to watch with other people.
Oh,
Alex
got
was
me.
freaking out. You remember
Yeah.
Alex? In
Every
theaters?
single scene, Alex.
oh,
He was.
oh!
It was so funny. He literally like had his like knees up, covering his face
That's
for half
so
the
funny.
movie. Oh yeah, this is a fun theater experience.
Yeah, for sure.
it needs to be watched in theaters like all the time. It's so cool.
I would
You're-
say, unfortunately, I haven't seen the Lighthouse or the Northman fully. I've seen just
Mhm.
various clips. So going from watching The Witch, which
Yeah.
was his
that's
like
a crazy
his,
step up.
his first premiere
His
debut,
feature film.
going from The Witch now to Nosferatu like 9 years later or something
Mhm.
like that. I mean, and The Witch was still good, a good movie, like for a debut particularly. But
Mhm.
now going to Nosferatu, which is just like the scale of grandeur and like
Yeah.
it's amazing. The sets,
The
and now that
sets are-
we've watched some of the behind the scenes, all of the sets and the live action and getting animals in like 2,000 rats to just
Yeah.
crawl over the place, like it's crazy,
Mhm.
Crawl on actors. That
and
was-
just amazing. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
This is like one of those productions that like just imagine being a character in. Like for us, it's just like I want to just go do that for free. And
Yeah.
then for these actors, it's like, okay, you're getting paid millions of
Millions.
dollars to like dress up in beautiful clothes and like be in the most beautiful atmosphere and just like be in the past for however long the production of this film was. And it's like, oh yeah, you're getting
Dude, that's
2-3
the
million for
dream.
doing this. Like, are you kidding me?
Eggers,
Oh.
if you're casting for
If
any
you're-
future,
yeah.
future
Any
films, you need
any
3
chance.
extras. Hey,
Oh,
Go for
you know
free.
who to
It's
call.
fine.
so good. Yeah, no. Would you, Colton, say that The Northman is your favorite movie or no?
My
I know
favorite
you
movie, like,
love
ever?
it.
Or
I don't
just-
know about ever, but like I know it's up there for you.
Because it, influenced my capstone maybe.
Literally.
Potentially, I don't know. Man,
Because we watched
it's so
it,
difficult.
because I saw it the first time with Sydney just at her house, and I was like, it was sucky because I was like blown away, but I was like, I wish I had like watched this in theaters. Like that's
I
another
know,
one. That's
right.
a theater movie.
Oh,
And then we watched it in the film viewing room where it's like big, booming, everything.
and that was just incredible.
that was
And
one of
that,
the
I think,
coolest. Yeah.
well, I saw The Witch first. That was my first Eggers
Mhm.
film. I think we all watched it together.
Mhm.
And then going from that to The Northman felt like a huge jump because you showed me that crazy one shot of when it
The
goes
really
into
long-
the canoe
yeah.
or whatever. That was crazy too. Going from The Northman to Nosferatu, it still feels like a crazy shift. Like it feels like a completely different movie either way.
I don't know if I can say that everyone has. Well, for me, I feel like every single movie has progressively stepped up a bit. And like that naturally would happen as you gain more experience. I honestly think in like all of his separate movies or whatever, I think that The Lighthouse is generally the highest rated, like like reception and audience and everything else. Nosferatu might be on the lower side of them.
Really?
Which is kind of surprising. I think a lot of people, I mean, maybe The Witch is lower. I'm not sure, but for me, I feel like every single movie he's made has just gotten progressively bigger scale wise. Even though, like we were talking about, The Northman had a budget way bigger than Nosferatu, but I still feel like the scale of like Nosferatu seemed bigger than The Northman. The world building, I think.
That's what I think too. I haven't seen, I guess, that much of the behind the scenes of The Northman, just like the shot that they were doing. But yeah, I mean, just from watching that documentary that we're looking at from behind the scenes, it was crazy how he was talking about, he looked through every single castle like that he could find in that area and nothing would work. So he's like, okay, I guess we're just going to build it. And so that's what he did. It was insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that makes me wonder now on his next films, like, is he going to continue to have this bigger and bigger and bigger and like massive scale, or eventually after maybe another one or two, will he go back to like, you're in a house, you're in like one house, you're in one hotel, like film or something like that, and it's just like small scale, 3 or 4 people. Like will he go back to something like, I mean, not saying that The Witch was a small scale project by any means, but like, or The Lighthouse or something where it's just like 2 or 3 people and a singular spot, and then boom, make a film.
It's crazy because I mean, other than there's like a couple, like, it's hard to describe. There's like mermaids in The Lighthouse, not actually, but it's kind of like the whole premise is just cabin fever. The seagull. The whole premise is just like 2 dudes getting cabin fever going crazy. So there's so much speculation, and we don't even know if the mermaids are real and yada yada. The fact that if you exclude that entire movie is a cast of 2. There are 2 people in that whole
2 great
film.
actors.
2 amazing actors, just like in one location. Like that's something. Yeah, to your point. Like if he's done the biggest, grandest scale of epic that he can with both The Northman and Nosferatu, but then at the same time he can just make like an amazing, deep, psychological film with 2 people.
And that has to speak to his writing ability though as well, because to be able to write like an epic or like something with 50 different people running around, or like The Northman, or something that's a period piece too, like Nosferatu, you have to be able to write well to capture that and to reflect that. But also, if you just have 2 people sitting at a table and talking about like how they're both, if they like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
a skill.
Interesting too, because he's written and directed all 4 of his movies now, and he's written them with other people. Like he wrote, I think maybe both The Lighthouse and The Northman with his brother. I think he wrote the Northman.
The Northman
with his
for
brother.
sure. Yeah, I don't know about The Lighthouse.
Maybe I know he wrote with a second person for The Lighthouse. It might have been his brother as well. I think this one he wrote solo. I could be wrong about that though. That's something I've been thinking about a lot, is like writers versus writers and directors. Did you guys? I didn't know that David Fincher didn't write 7. Like maybe that's just a really random thing, and maybe I'm just completely misquoting that. But I watched a video of him talking in a presentation about how his debut. Sorry, we're going on a tangent, but that's fine. I expected that. His debut film was Alien 3, which was bad.
Right.
It was not a good film. Like, and he's aware of that. He's like, my first film sucked. This is what I did wrong about it. Blah blah blah. And then in that presentation that he's talking about, he's like, I thought I was done. I thought Hollywood was like gonna kick me out. But then I got sent the script for 7, and he's now a world-renowned director. So, but I just
was actually his own.
Yeah, that's what I find interesting. Is there's a lot of movies I watch where I'm like, this is like a brilliant film, and I don't realize that the writer and director are different people for certain movies. I sometimes in my mind it's just that is one.
Did he write all of his other ones?
I have no idea. That's what makes me wonder, like, what films of his did he write, what didn't he? Because even in I don't know if you guys heard about this is cool news that I've talked about on the podcast before, but Quentin Tarantino wrote a script for the sequel of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and David Fincher is picking it up and directing it.
So they just like for sure.
Crazy, yeah.
That's fun.
It's like really fun. It's gonna be really weird.
Yeah.
But it is a fun
Well, also
premise
it's like
of the two,
it's
and then
not
Brad Pitt's
based
still in
on
it
a real
too.
story, but it kind of like with some real. That's like how do
Yeah.
you make a sequel out of that?
I don't know how you make a sequel out of it, and two, how David Fincher, who's like mystery thriller, picks up like a cult comedy
Right.
script. Like that's gonna be so strange, but it'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Back to Nosferatu. I guess I don't know if I want to go through the whole shebang.
There's a lot to go through.
There's a lot to go through. Favorite scenes. I think we might have the same favorite scene. I don't know if you do, but
What's your favorite scene?
Like a bunch of stuff in one, but I think I can't count this.
chunk?
There's like a 10 to 20 minute chunk for me that's just like the absolute perfection of cinema that I've ever seen in my life, and it's the second we get the sweeping wide of Thomas in the woods, where it's just the snow falling all the way to like the end of the conversation with Orlok. And that's like technically two scenes, but it's like the build up into that is like amazing, and then that first like dialogue is just insane writing. But yeah, it's like the most hypnotic scene. Like the way he gets into the castle is like
literally hypnotic,
really unnatural, but they keep it grounded. It's so weird. And then like when he like floats up to the carriage, and, it's just so cool.
Well, and now seeing all of the behind the scenes and learning that like it wasn't a real location. Everything they made was exactly how they wanted. The candles, everything, the castle, every single scene. I mean, he's wearing random like horseshoe mule boots and like all of the costuming and the humps and like everything they had to do with the camera movements here and back and centering it. Like everything was exactly how they wanted it. It wasn't just chance. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to go to this castle and hope we can film it for a month. And like that just adds to it, because now I'm like going through it in my mind, and I already loved those scenes, but I was just like,
now thinking about the perfection of it, like the execution as a director that you have to have like an exact vision from the get-go and like perfectly carry it out is like really cool, because there's a lot of directors who will go out and intentionally shoot in a way that's like they're kind of freeballing it. Like I've talked about Sean Baker, he did Honora, the Florida Project.
Right.
Like he and his cinematographer, they usually just go out and shoot whatever looks good while they're on location. That's how we've been filming our short film.
Yep.
And then there's like the opposite, where it's like the most perfect exact planning in pre-production to get the most perfect exact result.
You'd have to have that
wild.
mindset already of, I need this to be exactly what I'm envisioning in my head, and if it doesn't look like that, then we're gonna have to make adjustments and make it all work. Which it's the director, but then it's also the director's job to go to the production designer and the costume designer and be like, hey, this is my vision and it's going to be really cool. And they also have to have the same passion to be like, okay, yeah, we need to make this. Like that costume designer or whatever.
Linda Muir.
Right, yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the difference between Harding, not being a poor guy and having everything like all sleek and everything.
Like
the top hat, like
even
flip, like it's. I know you would look at that,
right?
Like, it's
no
crazy.
idea.
Yeah, they were talking about what? Oh, the spurt of blood or whatever. Like talking about like literally they like CGI fixed the like an inch of blood because it wasn't exactly what was in the vision. It's like you like this is Robert is a director who just he's so particular in such a cool way. And I admire that in a director.
Because like my first thought is like if you have the scene and you're faking blood or you spurt out some real stuff, like you could do that take 87 different times with just different amounts of blood
and just pick the best
one.
one.
Like they got the framing right, they have all the costume and everything, they just did it, and they still probably took like 10 million takes of it, but they did it, and then they just like somehow able to CGI half of the blood spurt and follow it all the way through, and just I would never think that was fake or that was like edited.
Yeah, I think as a whole, like all the departments working together, like the collaboration, watching like seeing the behind the scenes and everything, it's like that's one of the coolest parts of filmmaking in general, but
Right.
movies to a big epic scale is like there's a lot of like honestly there's a lot of movies that you watch and you're like you could make that with not a ton of people helping out and not like a ton of crew and yada yada, and then there's something like this where it's like it is impossible to do this with a small amount of people. Like you need the most willing and passionate and good people to make these films.
Even if
and,
you could find a castle, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Well, exactly.
even
Like,
if you could.
can't-
yeah, no,
Can't
the
do that.
collaboration is one of the coolest things in this film is just how all the departments come together to shape like just these beautiful paintings.
Mhm.
Like camera department, camera's one of the coolest parts.
We
in
should
this
talk
film.
about camera here.
Yeah,
'Cause I think it's interesting how Ben Lunson brought this up at the end of the film, how it's like imperfect camera, like especially when everything pans over.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a smooth stop. I don't remember if you guys remember, like in the castle when he pans, then it just stops all of a sudden.
Mhm.
Just interesting to me, and I wonder what the reason for the camera choice was there. But
I did notice that on one or two in particular where like 99% of the film has these like almost what I would say perfect things, or these perfect camera movements where it's doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And there was a couple where it seems it was like, you know, dollying or pushing in, and then it would kind of like
yeah, it was like
jerks
a
a
little
little,
forward,
yeah.
right?
which almost took me out of it because everything else was perfect, and then you have another shot where it just jolt, and
Yeah.
it didn't come to a complete stop. So I was like, but I mean, there's no way they just like missed that or
Yeah.
something.
Right,
Oh,
no,
whoops,
it's
that's a
definitely
mistake.
on purpose for something. It is.
But like, why?
I think
Right.
there,
You know?
it might just be an element of like, is this a word? Tactility, just real, being tactile and real. Like, I think as like
Google tactility right now.
I think like just thinking of us as like student filmmakers, like when we bring out the big dolly and we're pushing and we get like a bump in it and we're like, oh, that's really imperfect. Like it looks bad. We can't have that. It's like, it's so interesting to see that versus like when feature films do it. Like, it's just so interesting. Because I know, there's definitely an element of like, they wanted that in the film for a reason. And like, if we're to do it and just mess up, it's like unjustified.
It almost
it's an
seems
interesting
like
dynamic.
kind of making imperfect like camera movements is coming back in a
Yeah.
weird way.
Oh, I agree.
Even more
like
like handheld
modern
stuff.
What was that
handheld and
handheld?
stuff dipping
Remember when
in
he's,
and
like,
out of
running?
focus. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one scene that was I don't think it was quite handheld, but it was close to it when the horses are running at the screen. The camera like picks up and when it jolts into the
Makes
movement,
sense.
it like
Yeah.
shakes as it goes. Other than that, I think everything is very all crane or whatever else.
Cranes they have on that set too from behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I mean, like you could see they have this entire town set up, and then they have like railroad tracks. It almost seems like, and to like there's 100-foot tall crane with a giant counterweight. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. That's like taking it back to like old school filmmaking is like, I think that was big in 80s is like just on bigger productions like Spielberg stuff is just like, it's just everything's on a crane and that's just how they use the camera, which is just it's so cool. And it feels like for a lot of Eggers stuff, he tries to kind of go away. I mean, obviously he doesn't like modern. We know that.
Yeah, right.
But he definitely like, even in camera specifically, like he tries to really stray away from modern stuff and he goes for a very like smooth, fluent look, which is really interesting. And then combating that with like random still shots that are just like beautiful and you just take them in. Like when Thomas is walking up the hill and it's just like that slant in just a still with the snow.
Painting.
Literally
Right.
just a series of paintings, like what they had to study like art wise. Like we're taught this all the time, but this is one of those films that like its main source of inspiration is in like physical art and not like movies or other stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really
Which is
interesting.
neat. Yeah. Yeah. Because you always pick up like from certain directors, oh, they got this from doing this, and you'll see interviews with directors. Oh yeah, what movie inspired you from this, and they'll give you the list. And no, I appreciate when it's from the period, and he's taking like direct inspiration from what was used then.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know
crazy.
the name of the painting, but the guy that where Thomas is looking out over the town.
The
That
from
one,
behind?
yeah, that's
Oh.
like a very specific painting that they
Mhm,
reference.
mhm.
And there's some like specific ones that they put in there that are cool.
Yeah.
This is almost like a good in between film, as far as like you can learn things from watching Spielberg or Tarantino and the different
Mhm.
cool shots or stuff like that, and you can go to museums where you could look at the actual paintings. This is almost the perfect blend because you can watch a movie and
yep.
be watching just 500 different paintings. And I mean, you can pause any frame of
And
any
it's
house,
just
anytime any of the
perfect.
characters in a house, boom, perfectly like 3-tiered setup with depth of field and
Mhm.
candlelight coming. They're like, oh, this is amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
let's try to recreate this shot. I mean, this would be
This
an amazing
this would be a fun movie to try and do a shot
on any
recreation
of the
Oh, that
shots,
would.
like
Like,
any of
the
the
shots.
and like I don't you could barely get close probably. Like this
No.
like this is one of those that's like they're so like excessively perfect and planned that like I don't even know if you can just like recreate
Though natural
this.
light
Like,
might make it I don't know if that makes it more.
I think it makes it more difficult. I think it's easier to recreate when you can control your lighting. But yeah, like they shot. I mean, not everything is natural light, but like a lot of the
A lot of it.
candlelight scenes, they just shot with candlelight. So the result of
burn our
whatever
house down in the process.
whatever like flickering goes on is just like that's just real. Like you can't recreate that.
And
So
so-
amazing.
Was it something with the film they were using that they were allowed to do this with mostly just natural light?
They used high-speed lenses, so it wasn't camera necessarily,
Sure.
but they got specific lenses made for the film. I don't know if you guys got to the part in the BTS or if it wasn't even discussed in it, but they got lenses that had a filter that cut out all the colors except blue for the moonlight, which is amazing. Like this nighttime stuff, I would not say it looks realistic, but it's
Right.
extremely stylized,
Mhm.
which I like. As someone who likes making films and watching films, is like that's something I look for. Is like it doesn't if it's not the realest looking, it should be stylized at least. Like I almost prefer when a director makes something like so artistically stylized as opposed to like real looking. Like I almost prefer something to look unnatural if it
Right.
has a reason and a specificity behind it.
Example, Paris, Texas, that last still of him under the
gosh.
green
Yes.
light, you know? And then
Yes.
that super orange and red in the
Mhm.
sunset.
Yeah, that movie's colors are
Right. That's very stylized, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with so with the moonlight, yeah, they had a lens that cut out all the color except that blue, so they could get in grading. They could be very specific with moonlight
and
because
don't
like
have to change
super
anything
dope.
don't have to.
but
Yep,
blue.
yep.
Hmm.
And that's like a thing about like nighttime shooting and nighttime filming is like part of what achieves the look is if you're doing like a moonlit scene, it's like our eyes at night. I don't remember the exact science behind it, but our eyes only will see those blues
Mm.
when we're outside at night. So that's why in a lot of films, if you watch like moonlight scenes, it sometimes almost looks excessively blue or whatever else. It's like that's why is because our eyes don't catch the greens and the reds and everything
Mm.
else. It's like we just see the blues out when it's
So
dark.
that's
It's
why
only moonlight.
cop lights, I believe, the easiest color to see in the daytime is red, and the
Mhm.
easiest color to see at night is blue, which is why they
Mhm.
have red and blue lights, because then no matter what time of day,
Didn't
I
know that.
think,
That's
fact check me on that.
interesting.
But yeah, it's
That's
cool
cool.
seeing like the sciences coming into like why people film the way they do, and that's just like a random example of it.
And we should talk about the lighting of using that practical light with
With the mirrors and
with
stuff.
mirror, yeah, and having to literally use math to figure out, okay, this is actually too close. It's not going to look, real.
Yep.
It's insane.
That's like that's something that I can't even fathom ever trying to do on a film set. Like that's way beyond any of our
yeah.
realm
you need like a
ever.
200-foot
but
crane with a
Yeah.
20-foot mirror,
And then just
and then to shine like 8 lights into it, and then shine it
Yeah.
into a set that cost $2 million to make,
yeah.
and then somehow film it. You're like,
Mhm.
what? How?
Well, and I just think it's so
What?
cool, and like, cause like that could just be CGI. You can just take the easy way out and do that CGI, and like they're refusing. Like we've seen, we watched in the BTS how they enhanced it with CGI where it needed it, but like everything that they could achieve practically, they did. Like there's stuff in there that they like physically cannot get that they had to resort to CGI, but like another example of just like practicality versus CGI. Like you don't always just need crazy cheap looking VFX. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
need to do it and it yields better
Or
result.
like in most of the towns, they have the first 1 to sometimes even like 3 stories of
Yep.
buildings,
And
and then
then the
okay, if they
rest
need
of
the
it is
5th
green
story, let's
screened,
CGI
yeah.
it. Yeah. But it reminds me of Gladiator, because they actually built like a full like 3-story Coliseum, essentially.
Mhm.
The first like 30 feet of a Coliseum around had to be this huge project,
Mhm.
and then they were able to CGI the rest. But like they could have people sitting there, they could have
Mhm.
thousands of people in the crowd, and CGI the rest. And I think it's like the perfect mix. Where if
Mhm.
you just do CGI, it's gonna look bad.
And I wonder,
But like you can't
yeah.
rebuild the Coliseum.
Yeah, and I wonder in like regards to like what they did for the second one, if they kind of kept the same idea. I think there was there was definitely more CGI.
Yeah, you
with
can
the
almost see it a
second
little
one.
bit. Yeah.
Did you watch the second one?
I still haven't. No,
You're
I
not
probably
missing.
won't.
No,
You're not
yeah,
missing the
that's the thing, there's
ton.
nothing crazy.
Unfortunately,
No.
it got an Oscar nom. Wait, was it for best VFX?
Production or something. Yeah.
Or
Really?
maybe, oh, it was costumes.
It was one
it
of
was
those three.
costumes. It was costumes.
No.
But yeah, blending like CGI and practical. He's done with all his films. I think most of The Lighthouse is practical though. Like
Which I feel like
I don't know
that's
how
becoming
you-
a new thing too, or not a new thing, but
it's coming
revamped,
back.
you know?
Yeah, I think once we've been at this rut in films for like the 2000s to like 2010s ish, where it's just like we now have CGI and it's getting better and better. So that's all we're gonna use.
Right.
And then we've seen that like just
Because it's
doesn't
getting good,
always
but it
work.
doesn't look
It doesn't
the
always
same.
work.
Legend of Ochi, that's coming out.
Yeah.
They're using that too, which is cool.
Mhm. They
Yeah.
a bunch of people thought it was AI. Do you remember talking about that? I think we talked about
No.
it with Ben. Maybe not, but they thought the puppets, the Ochis, they
Really?
thought the creatures, they were like, it got backlash because it's like you're using AI, and they're like, we just aren't. Like these are puppets, and this is practical. It's like you're that's scary about AI
You just
though,
have a
because now
giant
it's
red
just
button
like
that says wrong. You hit it wrong.
Should get one for you.
That's the next one that you need to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy that just like now that AI is coming around, it's just like you can just point fingers at a film and be like, oh, you used AI, and like it's not even true. They're putting like a tag at the beginning of Avatar or something that says like in the next one that's like, we didn't use any AI in this film. Like they're getting a point where that has to be spoken or like stated out loud before a film.
Interesting. Huh.
Crazy. Still waiting for the first like real AI movie that's just like an entire big budget feature film with only AI, because that'll be soon. It'll
will,
probably
yeah.
be within the next year or two.
Well, yeah, AI is just going to
2 years.
become normal, I feel like, for movie production stuff, and then there's going to be a huge backlash. That's what
Oh yeah.
I mean. It is right now, but I feel like it's going to
get
be
bigger.
Oh, okay,
It's
this is
gonna
really
get
cool.
harder to.
And it's going to be like no AI at all. It's just
I think it's gonna get normalized for a time,
yeah.
and it's gonna get better too. And so it can. I mean, it's already such a tool for like. I mean, even on our like a small scale, like generative,
Mhm.
AI or like
Like, that's-
Photoshop
yeah.
or like masking things. We're doing all this sort of stuff, and when you bring it, in another year or two, and like if you can bring it to the large scale of like, yeah, I don't need to pay $10 million on CGI. I can pay $5 million and just like use AI to do the like. I mean, it's a tool, but also at the same time,
A scary
I think
tool.
you lose.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, scary.
tool.
I think you lose a little bit too.
No, you do. You can, because you still can tell.
That's the thing.
At least
yeah.
now.
And
I
you-
mean, it's
yeah.
and it's gotten better really fast too, which
That's
is insane.
I
to
think
me,
that's
but
the most concerning part, is how rapid it is.
Yeah.
Like how rapidly improving it gets.
Mhm.
It used to be the spaghetti, and it would be
The
just, like,
spaghetti
the
that looks
eating,
so
like,
bad. Yeah. Now there's all the memes with it too. Characters. What did you guys think? Like as a whole, characters, and like who are some of your favorites, and like what about them?
I was kind of surprised by. This might be a hot take. I don't know. Aaron Taylor Johnson's Harding.
Mhm. I was too. I've never seen him in a role like that.
I mean, I saw him in Bullet Train, so it's completely
Yeah,
different,
yeah, yeah.
But seeing that, I wasn't like unimpressed, but
Mhm.
I think I was maybe expecting something just bigger, grander.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe that's my.
I
Just
think,
wanna take-
yeah, I think it's half and half with me on his performance, because like that's one of like, how do I explain this? I don't think it's like by any means his best performance, but like
Craven.
Craven, bro. It definitely shows his range as an actor, because I think what is catching it off guard is, in general, the way Robert Eggers writes his characters is a lot more theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a fine line between the cheesiness of like theatrical and reality. Like it's very like you can easily step over it in an aspect. And I think there's like some characters in this who perfectly delivered, and then there's some who like were a little too theatrical. And I
Yeah.
think he was right on the verge of like this feels a bit more theater production than it feels movie.
I would
I still
agree.
liked it, but
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
agree.
right.
Like in
Yeah.
particular, Willem Dafoe's character, even
Mhm.
at the end when he builds up to the scene
And
where
he's
he's in the
like-
grave
he's
and he's
like,
lighting things on
yeah.
fire and he's yelling, like that feels like it was a build up to that, and like it feels like it's not like "Ugh, of course you have to have a
Mhm.
screen of him going crazy."
Mhm.
Like that was good.
Mhm.
Like that was good, and there was other parts for other characters too where it's like this is natural and this is a
Mhm.
natural build up. For him, I like I like the actor.
Mhm.
Right.
And
yeah, no, he's
I
cool.
liked his part. He was actually one of my favorite like parts, just because
Mhm.
maybe because I like the actor. But there were a few times, even just in his delivery, yeah, and maybe it's just like the accent, which like isn't an accent.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna
kind
say
of
his
is an
accent was a little. Maybe his accent was a little iffy at
They should just
points.
use AI.
and it was just a little over the top. It was just a little over the top.
Yeah, no, that's true. I was like very satisfied and shocked with Lily Rose Depp's performance because we had watched the first episode of The Idol. Like she wasn't bad by any means, but that is the only movie or whatever I've ever seen her in. And from the get-go, after that, seeing that she's like the lead, basically lead character in the film, I was like a little like, ooh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But then like going into it, like she delivered.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people thought about a bunch of her stuff was cheesy, which like that's fair.
Again, with the theatrical side of
but
things.
but like when you I think it's just a matter of like you need to be more open-minded to put yourself in a world that feels more theatrical than grounded in realism. Because that's like this movie is not meant to feel super realistic. Like it is meant to be played up as epic and on a bigger scale, a more theatrical scale. It's like with all that in mind, I think Lily Rose Depp was just amazing.
Yeah.
Like her possession scenes and her physicality.
Yeah, those were
Superb.
It's
insane.
brutal, like in a very good way.
Yeah.
And like all herself too. Like she's not using
No, it was
CGI
AI.
or whatever.
It was
It was
AI,
AI.
it was AI.
Yeah, I appreciated that too, especially when she, do her little back bends and start foaming at the
Mhm.
mouth. Like it was ugly. It was gross.
Little back bends? She was off the
Yeah,
ground.
all
She was like
Mhm.
5 feet off the ground.
But
Yeah,
she-
she was willing to like just
committed.
get gross
Yeah.
for it. And then that guy. That
and then
that
uh,
Orlok guy, bro. His freaking voice.
that
You must bounce on it. Crazy style.
That's how you start the episode. Is all of us 3, 2.
You
Most bounce.
I love the like I think his character is going to be like in multiple years like you look back at as like an iconic character because of
Mhm.
how like the reception of this movie like 2024 specifically was huge. Like this came out and then it's like had been trending for like 3-4 months after. Like it's like we're probably at that point now where it's kind of not really trending anymore. It's not whatever. But for the longest time like this was everyone
Dude,
knew about this. Everyone
that's all
talked about
over,
this.
yeah.
Even if you weren't remotely involved in Nosferatu or Robert Eggers, you still heard about it because like TikTok went crazy with
Mhm.
Orlok and yada yada. Like, and that's why I think like his character, people are gonna look back and be like, that's like an iconic. Like, I would never put him up there with like Darth Vader or anything like that. But like, he's just one of those villains you're gonna look back at and be like, that was perfect. That was a great villain. Yeah, his voice is one of the coolest parts, dude. The second you first hear him in the castle, it was so.
It's like terror.
yeah.
It's in your
Really?
chest. It
Uh-huh.
like you're seeing it paralyze Nick Holt, and it like
Mhm.
it
Oh my gosh,
hypnotizes
Nick
you.
Holt, too.
You're just floating into the castle with him. And this voice, I can't. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't even get close.
Yeah, no, the pairing of like, I think part of what made him so good was also Nicholas Holt's reacting.
Right, yeah.
Like he's such a
Uh-huh.
phenomenal actor that the just like he's petrified the whole entire scene. He never stops or drops that fear. And like
Yeah.
I'm so glad that that scene was treated that way because I think if he was even the slightest bit more casual with his character, it would have ruined the whole thing.
Mhm.
Like you wouldn't have felt that energy and you wouldn't have felt how menacing he
Mhm.
is. Yeah, I think those two parts worked together super well. I think Nicholas Holt was such a great actor for this movie. His casting was perfect.
Well, that just goes again to like set and production and costuming and stuff too. Because it's like if if he walked in front and it's just like some weird looking dude, like
Mhm.
you're not gonna get into the movie.
Mhm.
but with everything in the atmosphere, and of course, I mean the directing and Nicole too. But it's like, yeah, that 20 minutes was perfect.
It's introducing Orlok. It just like sets the tone for everything. Honestly, if not that, my favorite scene is just the intro. It's so jarring. Like, and the opening sweeping shot to show the shadow on the curtains is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing that in the trailer and just being like, oh my, so cool.
I had no idea it was like gonna come out. I had no idea. I had only watched The Witch.
Yeah.
I had no idea who Eggers was, and I had no idea who like any of these people were. And I remember seeing some of those commercials, or like those trailers. And you're like, "Oh, this is creepy." And then you, of course, is like, "Ah, no, don't." It's like progressed, but I mean, even I, knowing nothing, I could tell it was gonna be cool.
Yeah. No, there's just some amazing parts. There are also not amazing parts. What are cons about this movie? What are our cons? Because they exist, and for me, they exist on a very small scale, but they do exist. Like I think there's some faults.
The one thing you didn't like was that jump scare. Remember when it wasn't actually a jump scare? And that
yeah, I think there were like that was one of my least favorite parts. Is there were one or two moments that the jump scare was reliant on the editing as opposed to like whatever. Like instead of like a really cool build to a jump scare, there were like 2 or 3 things where just fast cut with loud audio, like just bam in the edit that gave you that effect.
The one like goes to his face, right?
Boom. Yep. There's 2. Yeah, there's like 2 of those, and I think that I did not like. I wish it was a bit more. Like they could have cut those 2 out or done them in a different way that made them feel more deserving or deserved of it. But yeah,
I'd say kind of 2 things for me, mostly just one. And with any film on any scale this huge, right? Like the acting and directing and everything in the writing has to be perfect. Otherwise, it's like, oh, you could nitpick one individual line or something. And so I don't want to be that guy to be like, I just like this one thing of. There was the one scene where
the scene on the beach.
The scene on the beach where they're walking. Right. It felt a little too much like out there or theatrical or like reaching for me.
Yep.
Where it's just like they're walking, and this is still the first like 25 minutes of the film. Like we just get introduced, and Nick Holt goes to the castle, and he's like, "Oh, who is this Orlok guy?" And then it's like cuts to them on the beach. And this is the only time I didn't like the writing, basically in the entire 2.5-hour movie, and it's just like. Destiny. I'm like, that's a little.
Right.
I think well, this is interesting too. This is kind of side tangent, but I've read the script online, and it opened with narration from Lily Rose Depp. She says the words "once upon a time," like at the beginning.
Really?
And they like, that's not in the final movie.
No.
Which I was wondering too, because. This is so specific, but the first track of the movie, like the first track, the score is called Once Upon a Time. And I always wondered why. And I'm like, maybe it's just because you're starting a movie. But then I read the script, and the very first thing it says is like Once Upon a Time. And I was like, oh.
Glad they took that out.
I'm glad they took that out. But I think the elements of that are still in there. Like, I think there was an attempt from Robert Eggers to make it feel like a fucked up, twisted fairy tale. So, like, the fairy tale elements still made it in at points, like the poetic fairy tale stuff about, like, destiny, don't you hear it calling for... Like, that stuff still made it in, but they cut other elements of it. So, I think that part of the writing specifically, I wasn't a big fan of, is, like, the...
Charles Dickens-esque kind of that they were trying to go for.
That they were attempting to go more... big, like, poetic whatever, and it was kind of just falling flat.
That almost makes more sense now that I'm thinking about like everything like a picture. Like imagine it as a picture book.
Yeah,
like you have the
like
hand
an actual
and the
fairy
shadow
tale,
and like all like.
Yeah,
I could totally see that. I mean, this is...
And I wondered too if it was like maybe producers or studio executives or just kind of like this part of it isn't working or whatever else. Like audience reception won't be as like yada yada. Because I know like we're talking about the perfection of it and the very specific, like I'm sure this is a very specific whatever from the beginning of the script. So then to deliver notes about like, oh, you can't have this, you can't have this. Like you have to change it, but still try and keep those elements in. Maybe that's where it comes in. I don't know.
I mean, I also wonder if it was just Eggers himself who, like, you know, because you could see parts of him like nitpicking this and CGI. If just in the final cut, you know what, this isn't. I think it's better to just take it out. I mean, it totally just could have been his call as well. I have no idea.
It's really interesting because if they're going for that, well, not storybook, but like that was the original plan, kind of, and they don't use coverage shooting, and they want you to feel like as if you're looking right at it. You know, I wonder. It almost seems a little conflicting at points. I don't know, but
maybe that's part of why they cut it out, because they had to go more into one vision than into the other side. Like they just weren't, you know, connecting, which is honestly cool that you have to make the creative decision to, like, well, we talk about killing your darlings. Like it's one of those things is like, if you were so passionate about that, but it just isn't working, it takes guts to just like be like, okay, cut it. We're not doing that route. We're going a different route, and it works. So.
Yeah.
Now I'm actually just picturing it as like a book, as far as like every turn. I mean, honestly, it makes sense to me, like as a book. Like every page you turn, them running through the town, like, oh, I can see that as a picture, and have the three guys running in the town with, you know, some words at the bottom. Or like you flip the page and it's her right in the middle of the house. Like that's, you're supposed to look at exactly, like they framed it exactly how I'm picturing it, like a picture book. Like there isn't ever a scene where I'm like, what am I supposed to be looking at? Or like there's just a random object. It was all like, boom, Lily Rose Depp right here, exactly with the light coming down, just like someone painted it, just like someone put a picture in a picture book. Even if it doesn't start with Once Upon a Time, there like isn't a single shot where it's like that.
Right. Yeah.
Even like, I mean, even you go into a dungeon and you have someone laying on the ground, you know exactly what you're looking at. Like,
oh, I'm just thinking now about the transitions in the movie too. It's so like. Him sucking. So good. But yeah, like the transitions in that, they were like, they felt old school at certain points. Like the way it would like go into the ground and then that goes into the next scene.
Right. Yeah.
But I think the movie was so guided in its movement, like the camera movements specifically, took us from scene to scene. Like it was so fluid, and then when it wasn't fluid, it was like purposeful. Like I know I was just joking about it, but the scene where Orlok's like sucking up like on Nick, that had to be well.
I mean, he is.
It like it had to be so specifically jarring, and like okay.
Sorry.
You were saying
we're back in locked.
It had to be like so specifically jarring for that moment to come off as like, this is horrifying. That whole scene has movements. It's going up, it's going left to right, it's transitioning back to Lily Rose and then coming back and then just cut to a still. It's like that's how you achieve it, is either you go one route or the other, like you have everything still and then jarring cut with movement. But like it's almost more impactful when you're so immersed in the movement and then you just stop and it's like, holy shit, that's horrifying.
I would agree.
That they pulled that off well in so many moments.
I think I've seen that even in like a war movie or two where like you know it's going back and forth, and then you just like wide. Because you're so immersed. If they do it well, in editing and sound and everything, you're immersed into it for like 2 minutes straight, and it's build up. You know, there's people are just like dying and going back and forth, and then boom.
Yeah, like it's a good way to
just watching someone die. You know, I just like it's the moment of realization.
I thought it was like, I guess I don't know how much you guys have looked on like the Dracula stuff or just kind of the origins of how Nosferatu and everything else and vampire lore, but I thought it was so interesting how they approached the specificity of like the vampire lore. Like they were biting the chest instead of the neck.
Yeah.
And Willem was talking about it in the documentary about how it's much more poetic it's like more romantic if you're going for the heart instead of the neck, which is cool. But I also like to that, I love how everything Robert Eggers does is based on like folklore, like this is what the people used to think of these things. Like movies now and Hollywood has turned vampires into this very specific thing, you know, like there's different types.
This
There's
is
like
cheesy.
there's like
stuff.
cheesy there's like cheesy like fang stuff and whatever, and then there's also like Twilight where it's like sexy glowing vampires, and there's like there's so many different elements to it, and then it's like if you go back to what people were actually thinking, it's like it's just a rotting corpse. Like there's not like he had the teeth, but it was more like jagged, crooked, messed up teeth as opposed to like fangs.
Yeah,
you
which I
know?
liked.
Yeah, so I like
it would have totally
really
taken you
would've-
out if
yeah.
you just had two fangs coming down.
and especially like and I love how they again approach the voices, because like they kept the Transylvanian like Dracula accent, but in a perfect way.
yeah.
It was much more real, which now that we're talking about it, it's interesting that the choices they made to keep some stuff feeling realistic and some stuff feeling theatrical, I think there's a good balance there of like if the vampire was treated theatrically, it would have felt so off. Like it would have just been cheesy. But like if that feels real and other stuff is more theatrical, like it blends in a cool way.
Kind of amps up then the bad guy too. You know, if everyone else is a little more theatrical and more terrified, like Nicholas Hoult.
That's what Psycho, Norman Bates, his character is like one of the first characters in cinema that is like talks like a normal human. Like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, everyone plays it up for the screen. In 20s, in the original Nosferatu, you see it, everyone's like, yeah, blah, blah.
Dear, why don't you do this?
Like literally doing like lifting up their finger and like eyes wide open. Like it looks so dumb when you look at it now, but like that's what they had to do. But that's like to the point of Orlok feeling real. Like that's why in Psycho, Norman Bates' character was so. You look at him as one of the most iconic. Like holy, he's a good villain. He's a good horror villain. It's because he just acted like a normal person against people who are playing it up for the camera.
Yeah,
that's such a weird technique, but it's
totally
such a
works,
good
though.
way to make a character
crazy
feel.
contrast.
I've never thought about that in regards to his character, but I mean it's real. I also love Eric Knock, the crazy guy. I love him so much, and I feel like no one ever talks about him. And I'm like, his performance was amazing, dude. Yes. He was like the perfect line of like horrific and funny as all hell.
I just saw him in another movie, and I can't remember what it was.
I think he's in the Harry Potter movies.
Really?
I think so, but maybe
that's insane.
Or he might voice. I think he voices something,
like one of
or
the ghosts
in the
or
Harry
whatever.
Potter movies. He might just voice. I don't know if he's actually like.
I just saw him in something, and I was like, wait a second. Is that the bad shit crazy dude from...
Oh, yeah, what he is. Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Yeah, he must voice someone random, or he's in something, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, he's phenomenal in this movie, and I love when he's like running out of the town, and he's like...
Just crazy.
It's so funny.
Also the line, your delay is providential, my son, providential.
Providential.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Providence. That's all he's saying the whole movie.
Yeah, right.
In regards to like his character and a lot of other stuff, like they still made that part of it feel like the original. Like Aronnox is like the same in the original. He's just this goofy, crazy guy,
which is good because it still makes the story cohesive and true to like all the other vampire Dracula movies that were made.
Yeah,
which is good.
Well, and this is another great example of like just good remakes. Like. It's hard to make a good remake, but like if you treat it with enough care and you like still like show where the original is, like where it's coming from, like the shadows, like they took the concept of like the original Nosferatu made shadows like the biggest deal for like that is the film that made like shadows in any movie like a thing, a big deal. And so they took that specific concept and they're like, we're gonna bring it out, because they played with shadows more in this than they did in the original because of the success of the original. So they like that's just like a total love letter to it, being like we're gonna take the thing that you did perfectly and we're gonna just
ramp it up.
We're gonna amp it up and we're gonna make it very prevalent.
So did the pigeon ever throw you off when he just ripped his head off at all?
No, I
just kind of expected it.
I was just like I was expecting it, but I was more paying attention to how they were gonna do it.
Yeah.
And like
I knew it was gonna happen. I mean, it's gonna happen.
So
right?
Especially when he takes the first bite and then he's like,
I was like,
and then he raises his eyebrow. He's like, oh, never mind. And then he does it again. It's like misleads you. Oh, there was some random comedy in it too. Like he bit the head off and whatever, and he's like, and then Ralph Fiennes's just like, "My dear fellow, why would you do that?" Or something like that. It was so funny. Same with like
with his dry delivery.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
oh, that see like those little dry humor moments are so good. Just because it's not like over the top excessive comedy. It's like it's probably what they would naturally say, and it's just funny that they say it the way they do.
Right.
And then like Willem Dafoe's character too. Schnoops.
Yeah, he,
He's
every
so
single Eggers film he is in, every single film he is in, like you already know,
He
it
just-
amps up the movie
Ugh.
even more.
good. I love Willem. I love him so
It's
much.
kinda-
I'm very curious as to what he's going to play in the next one, because the next one's werewolf.
Right.
So it's taking another classic horror and making it in the Robert Eggers world, which
The
is so
Wolfman,
fun.
1940s.
It's a good movie,
Classic film about a man turning just off my brain here.
bro. Just
Turning
off
into
your
a
brain,
werewolf after mistakenly killing one. The movie made let me think. $420 in 19 wow.
Yeah.
41.
It's crazy.
I don't know what that like what it
What that would
what that would
Probably
be
like
what that would
doubles
compare to now,
triples
but
to
yeah.
quadruples, like
But yeah, so I'm really curious to see who Willem is going to be in the next one, because he'll be in it. There's no way he won't. They're doing the
Yeah.
same thing though. They're doing another Christmas release because of the
Nice.
success of the
Hey, I kind of
first
like
one.
that. I think that was sweet.
Like they timed it out perfectly, and like the hype was just perfect, where like enough people saw it either on Christmas or at Christmas.
brings it
time,
into the
and
new year too.
Yeah, and it worked so. Yeah, the timing of it could not have been more perfect. So they're just doing that again because they're like, this would work so well. Also, like there are elements of it. It's like snowy, and they're even like singing a Christmas.
Yeah, it would
tide
never
at
work
some
in
point.
summer if I was to see that. It would not. Remember when we
Yeah.
came out of the theater and it was like foggy everywhere? and
Yes.
that was
Oh, that
insane.
was
Atmosphere.
crazy. Yeah, that was like haunted.
Yeah.
Orlok
That
is
also
here.
actually makes sense for if you're gonna do some sort of like, mysterious or like, I mean, you can put snow in there, and if you're watching it in July, it makes it more believable. It makes it more like you're able to sink into it more if it's actually like when you're watching it.
Mhm.
The score, I really like the score. Robin Carolan. I don't think he did The Witch, and I don't know if he did The Lighthouse,
Hmm.
but he did The Northman and this one. And The Northman is one of my favorite
It's like one of my
favorite
top
movie
Spotify
soundtracks,
artists.
dude. Yeah,
of the year,
actually, it's insane. I love all the
But it's-
Northman stuff.
Fortunately,
Unfortunately.
Very fortunately,
Just hear men just,
the king.
it's too good. Oh,
I want
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke to come back into another Robert Eggers movie. Like,
yeah.
I want him
and
to be
stay
someone
longer
again.
than
yeah.
just like a little bit.
Yeah,
think that
kind of
was
sucked. Yeah,
fun.
in the Northman, he's in it for 20 minutes, if that,
I know.
and then they
was?
go into the Ethan Hawke.
Oh,
Yeah.
He plays the king at the
He
beginning.
did a great job, too.
Yeah,
Him and Willem Dafoe together. Like,
it's
in
a
that
crazy
scene,
combo.
Yeah.
It's so fun to watch though. I showed that to my parents and my sister, and like my dad was vibing with it. My mom and sister were just like, "What is
Yeah, I know.
happening?" Like when like he's just being a jest or whatever. "'Tis but a jest." And Willem Dafoe's just like literally slapping his dick around. Such a good movie.
Robin Carolan
Caroline.
has only done 2 films:
Is
The
it-
Northman and
Yeah, see, I
Nosferatu,
was gonna say I didn't think he did the other two.
Yeah.
which
that's
is
so
a
cool. I
crazy
hope-
2 films.
I
to
hope
start.
he keeps up though, because he's like in the Eggers films. Like I hope
Mhm.
he keeps doing them because he's so good. It just adds so much to the atmosphere and to the vibe of it.
The really cool part is that Eggers is super young. This guy's young and new.
Yeah,
Like, next couple years, it's going to be insane.
Mhm.
that's what I'm super excited about. Is like I've never loved a director like his films as much as I love Eggers' films. And then thinking about it, like his debut features 2015 or 16 or whatever it was. Like we got a long time with him, and I'm so stoked. Like he's gonna be the one we like grow up with, and then when we're
Right.
talking to our kids, being like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Eggers,
back in my day, Robert Eggers."
I saw his
and-
first film when I was 12. You know,
and it's just gonna, and
like,
then
okay, Grandpa.
okay,
Okay,
pal.
yeah.
All right, bud. Yeah,
It's gonna be sad when like thinking about like Steven Spielberg
I know.
and like Tarantino. I mean, is he 70?
Tarantino's not 7.
He's
I don't think
60s
I
though.
think he's 60s.
Yeah.
But like Spielberg's in his 70s, I think. Tarantino's in
Scorsese's
his
just about
60.
Sorry,
Even
Scorsese-
Christopher Nolan, I think is he 60 something or is he in the 50s?
I think they're like 50s.
50s.
Yeah, he's still
But like,
young enough.
He's
got like
trudging.
10 and 15 years on a lot of the
Yeah.
Scorsese. He's old.
Yeah, but he's such a cute little old man.
So-
Bro, next guest on the podcast.
Bro, little
Yeah.
old Martin Scorsese. Quentin Tarantino, he's been like in the process of writing his last film or whatever for so long
Ages.
too.
Hmm.
Like they started it and it was like about a film critic or something. It was like a film about films, which is cool.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And then I
Wow.
think they stopped production. And then it like I don't know what's happening with it now, but like I think he's planning on like his next one is his last one.
Mhm.
But
'Cause
he's
it's
been
his
talking about them
10th
for ages,
Question mark?
something like that.
11th.
He's so cocky. He always puts
Yeah.
the fourth film by Quentin Tarantino. I don't care about the number, bro. Just just keep going. Move on with the movie. Show me your feet shots and
Bro.
let's,
That's all we
let's
need.
keep
Bro,
going.
shut up and show me feed. Come on.
Come on, bro.
Come on. I paid $10. Where's Margot Robbie? Come on.
Bro, exactly. You must pounce
Pounce
on
on
it.
Crazy.
I'm so glad that became a thing.
It was just kind of like it wasn't a meme because that part was a meme, obviously.
Yeah,
But
yeah, the voice.
everyone was like,
though.
"Whoa, this is like
Yeah.
really great." And then it's hard
marketing
to take him
marketing
seriously.
team did so good on not showing Orlok. Like
The prosthetic penis helped too. That was huge. That's creative marketing.
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they didn't show Orlok for all of it, and if he was in the trailer, it was like
The shadow.
half a second or the shadow or like you don't see his face fully or whatever else. Like I'm so glad that they kept him
Yeah.
like hidden. And then
Well,
even in the movie it takes like a long time to
It,
get
it
to what
does
he looks
not
like.
look like Skarsgård at all.
No, that's the
Rose
other
Guard,
thing is
yeah.
the amount of prosthetics and stuff he went through. Like it
Like,
I don't know that there's a
even his
single
face.
yeah, I don't know that there's a single part in the movie where I could ever recognize it was Bill Skarsgård. And I saw it with my family at one point, and I don't think my mom or dad knew it was Bill Skarsgård. And
really?
when they saw it at the end, they were like, "What?" Like they had no idea just because of how
Yeah.
much like intensive work that they do on him. But
Like, yeah, somehow it was way more from like here
it was like
out.
they gave him a big ass head, dude.
Yeah.
yeah,
gave him,
it,
like,
it
a
was from like
balloon
all
head.
here out, but like kept his face. This
They used his eyes.
I feel like
this
his
is
his
one.
cheekbones, his nose, the back of his
Everything.
head, the entire. So it's like you
Yeah.
can't recognize him.
Yeah, it was
and then,
crazy.
Of course, his hands and everything.
It's
too.
crazy seeing behind the scenes where he's talking as Bill Skarsgård too. Like they took
You're not supposed to see this.
Yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
what?
It's like they took-
like what?
so long to release any clips of Bill, like even after the movie. Like I like on all the pages for Nosferatu, they would like release little like tidbits of clips with behind the scenes talking. But Bill's stuff didn't come out till like
Mhm.
2 months after the movie was the first time it's like officially you're allowed to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Like people would take pictures and record videos of stuff at the theater, but the first like real videos we got of him weren't like until 2 months after the movie. And that
That's
also
really smart on
good.
their part.
yeah, like that might have been a pull for like some people to go see the movie if they're like, I still just don't know what he looks like and I want to see him in character and whatever else. Like that's another reason to go see it, is just like solely to see what they've been hiding the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is very, very clever marketing. But yeah, I can't imagine having to sit through what
Which part of, like-
6 hours of prosthetics just for that.
Oh,
Oof. Crazy. I could never. Unless I'm getting, paid
millions of dollars.
$3
Yeah.
million,
to sit.
then I could pretty easily do
That'd be
that.
all right.
Just
I'd
chat with
be
your
okay
friends
it.
while you're getting like makeup. You can check your phone, and then you
Practice
get like
your
a $15
voice
million
throat singing.
paycheck.
Mongolian throat singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the odds we all learn how to do that?
Yeah. we're
Bro, a
gonna-
vibe. That's
The
what we're
next
gonna do for
podcast
the
opens.
opens. We should maybe watch The Northman for the next one that we're gonna do. I
We
think.
could,
can
yeah,
talk
we
about
could,
it.
we could.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be
insane.
a good one because
Yeah.
I'll watch it tonight, bro.
it's so
So
freaking good. I don't know that. I don't. Do you think he's gonna have like Robert Eggers is gonna have like a big flop at some point?
I feel like he has to at some
I feel
point.
like
yeah.
don't most directors, not all of them, but most
No.
do.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the big ones really don't. Like as Spielberg has maybe flopped a couple, but not like
He's
big
made like
time.
32 different
It's
films.
like he's made so many that you just like kind of
like you could say the third Indiana Jones. Like okay,
Sure.
Yeah,
or
sure.
like some maybe his like after E.T. where he made like the AI with that same little guy, and I
Mhm.
like it was fine.
Yeah.
But like it's not like Madam Web.
Yeah.
Like man, this is dog.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like,
terrible.
part of me, there's like two parts of me. That one's like really happy that more and more people are seeing Robert Eggers stuff, but the other part of me is like, I'm like a little sad he's going mainstream,
Right.
because like that can really hinder a director, and like that can really get to their head. And also in regards to like studio and stuff, like once, like now that he's like more mainstream, he can start doing stuff on a much larger scale, which also means like if he does go into that though, there's going to be like lots of chances for him to just get lazier with writing, or like for other laziness from different departments, because you're more mainstream, you're bigger scale, you're getting more money, it doesn't matter, we can just rush it. Like I
Mhm.
hope he does not get to a point like that. Like I would be
Yeah.
That's my fear too for
Yeah.
him. However, he doesn't seem like the guy. In fact,
no.
just since he is a historian, I feel like he'd
Exactly.
probably use it for even better details.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too. Like
If you can get better
yeah,
details.
exactly.
He'll build like a real castle. something
No,
like that.
actually, yeah. The fact
Permanent.
that he is preached and is all about like everything is based on very specific history, like makes me much more. I have more trust in him that he wouldn't go mainstream and make like a shitty
Right.
film. He's also like he's talked about he will never do any sort of modern film ever. Like he's like, I will only ever do period pieces. The thought of filming a phone or someone in a car is like disgusting, which honestly is kind of true. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting to a point, even in like thinking about my own films going forward, like a phone on screen, like it's getting to the point where like
Yeah, I
if
don't
you have a phone in your hand, you can get out of any situation. And
Exactly.
like, how do you
right.
like if you're to write a movie
for any horror film.
exactly if
Anything.
you're to write any sort of modern movie, and like there's a situation where a character needs escaping or whatever, it's just okay, let me pull up my phone, I simply have all the answers in the
You need
world.
to write around it. Oh, no cell phone
And it's
reaches.
like-
this-
Yeah,
like,
and
okay,
then
that's
you
stupid.
always note it, and you're like, okay, that's a really
coming
cheap
back.
way of them to
Right.
get out. And it's like, yeah, like that's something I always think about, is like, yeah, modern stuff is gonna get to the point where it's gonna be annoying to try and ever make like very modern films, because you can just
Guess this
get
was
out
nice,
of-
like 90s.
Yeah.
Boom, right,
Yeah.
kind of before. Oh, where were we?
You lost track.
Sick.
Yeah,
Sick.
that's I mean, it's a good little review on Nosferatu. We didn't really, did we spoil? I don't know that we spoiled. We kind of spoiled.
It's been out
maybe a
long
little bit.
enough.
It's been out, so if you haven't
Yeah,
seen
it's
it,
your
you know,
fault.
too bad. I
Sucking
forgot to
on
pre-warn
Nick.
about sucking on Nick, you know? That's how it goes.
Happens.
Forgot to pre-warn about spoilers, but you know what? That's fine. You're used to
And if you want to join my ASMR channel,
it.
pre-order it for next year.
Pre-order my tentacles. What?
Oh,
What? Oh, the phone.
Wait.
Wait. Okay, this podcast has gone in a very,
Anyway,
very
we're gonna talk
good
about YouTube
direction.
Shorts
So,
next time.
YouTube Shorts,
Shorts
AI
next.
meme. Colton actually makes memes.
I'm a meme maker.
Oh, we're gonna
I'm a
have to
meme
go into
maker.
that.
Bro, can we just like start with like holding the memes
Dude,
up
that would
on
be
it?
insane. We could do like a PowerPoint and just go through each one.
Except no one would get it. It's like we can't air that. Like we can't show that.
Probably can show it.
All right, that's a we've gotten loopy, so that's a great place to end it. That's a little Nosferatu talk. Follow me at my socials. Tyler.edwardfilms. I don't know what I don't know what my usernames are anymore. Tyler.edward.films. There we go. And Tyler-edward.com. Thank you so much for listening to the Hard Cut Podcast.